Since the 90s, right around 2001. It's possible to like to sites up there.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So people,
Started a live stream, so if people with a note that says like we'll be starting soon, so if people haven't done anything with the mic, it's live.
Hi, folks. What's better? Thank you. We'll be beginning shortly. We're waiting for the other speakers to arrive. So just be patient with us. We'll begin in a moment. Good evening, folks. So we will begin. Welcome to ESP Searchlight event. My name is Thomas Cotton. Friends and colleagues call me Green. Considering that I see some colleagues here and some new friends, you can all call me Green as well. So by show of hands, who hasn't been here before? Oh, awesome. Okay, so I've been tasked with giving you a brief overview of each day. So we'll have, let's begin with a bit of a story. So you're standing now, or we're sitting now, in the center surveillance of the prison. All the cell blocks radiate outward. This is the central hub. If you can take a gander here, that space right in the middle is where we are. Eastern State Penitentiary opened in 1829, right outside, on farmland right outside of Philadelphia. This area was affectionately known as Cherry Hill. Eastern State was the first prison to practice solitary confinement. It was built, the first prison built on the idea of penitence. For those unfamiliar with the term penitence, penitence is simply the act of feeling sorrow or regret for having done wrong. Eastern State's plan is called a radial plan, and it inspired more than 300 prisons worldwide. For example, you have the National Penitentiary in Mexico City. Another example is found in London, England, Pentonville. Yet another example is found in Manchester, England, called Forest Bank Prison. Eastern State's radial design has even made it into popular video games, Sin City. People incarcerated here were kept in solitary confinement. They lived, worked, slept, ate everything in their cells. They were also taught trades, most often shoemaking and weaving. More than 80,000 men, women, though they not appear here, children are incarcerated here in the Eastern State Penitentiary. In the space where you sit right now, there were concerts here and radio broadcasts performed in Eastern State. You can see these folks here. They're probably not here for Searchlight. They were probably here for some other purpose. The prison was opened from 1829 and remained open until 1971. It was then abandoned for 20 years and reopened in 1994. This is quite a bit of history, of course, given that there were at least 80,000 people here at some point. And we work hard every day to accurately interpret that history. We open for tours every day beginning at 9:55 in the morning until about 5:15 in the afternoon. More and more, we've been talking to our visitors about contemporary issues. Every person who visits Eastern State, whether on a self-guided tour, self-guided audio tour, or a private tour, encounters the big graph. This big graph is built to spark dialogue. We ask visitors questions like, how would you like to see prisons look in 2020? Plans are afoot now to build a representation of just what that will look like. In 2016, we opened another exhibit, a campaign to investigate issues in criminal justice. Part of that programming seeks to deal with questions like, what drives mass incarceration? The people impacted by prisons, the consequences of criminal convictions. Its purpose is to humanize this issue and bring it out to a broader audience. Also meant to spark dialogue, we asked prisoners, have you ever broken the law? And why are there so many Americans in prisons? To get visitors to reflect on their own role in the criminal justice system. Attendance continues to grow here, even as we tackle this complex subject matter. In 2018, we reached 275,000 visitors to ESP. Our next big project is a new visitor center with climate-controlled modern restrooms. The irony of the building that you're sitting in now is that when it was built, it had a fully functioning plumbing system with toilets that flushed even before the White House. While today, we have our visitors sometimes marshaled into our bathroom trailers around the corner. High end though, nicer than the average porta potty, so that's not really an issue. I've had folks ask me about that all the time. Is a porta potty is going to forego that altogether. So if you're interested in finding out how you can support our efforts here, some folks from our membership team are here. They can talk to you and chat with you in the reception that follows this talk. Member support of our programming is what allows things like Searchlight to be presented to the public for free. So it'd be great if you can stick around for the reception and to just talk to us. Coming in a few weeks, in fact, next week, I believe, is a project that we had here called Hidden Lives Illuminated. It is 30 films that will be shown on the exterior wall of Johnson-Speight Penitentiary. Each week will be thematic, and we'll be programming to follow in the OCF right across the street. Films are all free, so please come yourself and have others come out and support. Next month's Searchlight series will feature Larry Krasner, the district attorney in Philadelphia. We'll be talking about some of the initiatives and things he's been doing since he's been in office. Also, for folks who don't know, Searchlight series is every Tuesday of the month from 6 to 7. It's always free, and there's always a reception to follow. Now, for the moment I've been waiting for. I'd like to introduce our speaker. She has someone with her, but she's more than capable of doing this by herself. Her name is Dr. Dorothy Johnson-Speight. Sorry. Dr. Speight is the founder of Mothers in Charge after her son, Khalid Jabbar, was killed at the age of 24 over a parking spot. From the Census Act, Dr. Johnson-Speight has been tireless, channeling all of her energy into founding Mothers in Charge, a grassroots organization dedicated to violence prevention, education, and intervention in the city of Philadelphia, with reverberations throughout the counties and state. So without further ado, Dr. Dorothy,
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I see somebody running down the hall like she's on a track. Take your time. I'd like to start off by having.
is this the other speaker?
Yeah.
Come on up here. The lady has staff here who's busy out here. Let me introduce her as well. This is Keir Bradford-Grey, Philadelphia's Chief Public Defender's Office in Philadelphia. Through innovative programs there, she's seeking to reduce racial disparities in our communities and ensure that justice is fair and final. I'm a particular fan of the Defenders Association of Philadelphia, having many friends there, Sean Nolan, and many others. So I welcome you, thank you for coming, and take it away.
The video of Mothers in Charge has a lot to do with work we've been doing over the years, working within the criminal justice system as well. I actually served on the Philadelphia Prison Board for about 2 terms with Michael Nutt, and I still also represent on the Philadelphia Prison Board, so that's been an interest of mine for quite some time. So we're going to see a short clip of a video called All Our Sons.
I
wasn't ready for the fact that it really was the same person who killed their children. Here's a black woman and a white woman that would probably never have met, but there's no words to even describe, the closeness and the love that we felt for one another.
Something happened to Justin. He never told us anything. We had to wait until we got home. When we came around the corner, all these people were outside of our house. And I was like, they were overwhelmed.
We just miss him so much. We all do.
He was very sensitive, very special young man, supporting and encouraging other folks until almost 2001, when I got that phone call from Einstein Hospital. Ernest Odo been shot 7 times. We often prayed and cried in the ER room in the waiting room for some time until the doctors came and said there's nothing else we can do.
I called my sister and she was hysterical, and she said that he was stabbed.
At first, they thought he thought he just got pushed. He said, they wanted to push me. And then they realized what happened.
We have to be here for the mothers who are burying their children. We have to be here.
2 guys approached them, they took his life, they shot him in the stomach.
My middle brother was murdered in February of 2012.
March 31st, 2007. That's when my son was murdered.
I attempted to take my own life and ended up in the ICU for a while.
Most of the stuff I felt after that was anger and pain, but at some point I got angry enough to say, I'm not going to let the person who claimed out his life take my life too. That was the day that I decided that I was going to live.
We were on the phone every night. We were just throwing out ideas, and I was telling her about, I see kids coming into school in the morning so angry, and how is this all connected somehow?
It just seems like there's so many guns out here and that they are just used to resolve any conflict.
I was 9 years old. My friend, he came around and he had a gun and he was gonna sell me a gun for my birthday. I'm like, for real? Like a gun?
You can eliminate somebody at any given time, take their life just because you feel like it.
He used to make me feel like I don't have anything to worry about anymore.
2 gentlemen asking me to be a lookout man. When a man was killed in a store, I was 19. Came out when I was 56. You got to remember the damage that you've done.
She started all this because of what happened to her son, but it has become so much more.
The vision of Mothers in Charge was a gift. It was a blessing in the midst of my suffering. I seen these mothers, and we had bullhorns, and we were pleading with our sons to put down the guns, and we were trying to talk to them, and we were trying to get them to understand what they were doing, to one another and into the community. That's how it started. When my son was murdered, I was angry. And I'm gonna tell you, my first thought wasn't to start Mothers in Charge, but if we can reach somebody that when they leave here, they think differently and they don't pick up a gun, then your mother or grandmother or aunt or sister doesn't get to be a member of our club that no one wants to be a part of.
It's not the days when the roses smell sweet and the honey tastes good. It is not the days where faith and hope chill by your right side and perseverance is walking in sync step. Better yet, it is not the happy days. It is the days when you feel to do little, yet there is so much to be done. The days that test your faith, your love, and your compassion, the days that your confidence is compromised and your esteem is mourned by the abyss. It is then when you have to reach down to reach the bristle. When you cannot listen to naysayers, including your own dissenting voice, that is when you have shown your true essence. See, faith is easy from the armchair, but when you must fight from the front lines of your dissenting self and win, come out positive, bruises and scars and all, that is when you have shown your true character and color. So today, I want you to paint the town red and blue. I want you to hoist oranges and walls above your head with me. I want you to yell the tar and in the golden brown with me and the race of people. As today, since it's not one of those days, we must all be safe.
What's that there?
Because it's not those days.
People, I think, want to fix stuff. They want to make something make sense, and sometimes it just doesn't. And to live with that, not accepting that it was the right thing to do, that someone murdered my child, but they're all our sons. That was the day that I was going to live. The vision of Mothers in Charge was a gift. It was a blessing in the midst of my suffering. I see these mothers, we have bullhorns, You are colleagues. That's my colleague. This video is for you. It's that you and your children will live in peace. You like that idea? It's one of the reasons I do this work and for all of the other children around this country, because Mothers in Charge of our national organization. I wanted to take a moment and introduce a couple of the members of Mothers in Charge that are here. Ruth, understand, please. Ruth is the one you just saw in the video. This is my sister. We have been joined at the hip for 16 years more. I saw Ruth Valley on Channel 6 News in January 2002, and she was asking for someone to come forward with information on the person who had murdered her son, Justin. And for some reason, it was a month after my son had been murdered, and I was sitting there watching the news, and she just touched my heart in a special way. So I said, I'm gonna go meet this lady. She was actually standing on the porch about 2 blocks from where my son had been murdered. And there was something that I immediately connected with her on. So when I got to the place where she was standing, the guy answered the door and said, no, she doesn't live here, but she lives around the corner, and I'll call her. Are you an investigator? I said, no, they have some information. And he called her and she invited me to her house, and I sat down with her and her husband Joe, and we started to talk about the death of her son Justin in July, and the death of my son, Khalid, in December the same year. And what she knew was that there was a black male running from the scene of the crime with a black pit bull running behind him. And I also knew that the person who murdered my son raised pit bulls 2 months when her son was murdered. We come to find out that the same person that murdered Justin in July murdered Khalid in December. So we have been joined at the hip ever since, on the front lines, doing the work of Mothers in Charge. And I love her. Like she's my sister from another mother. Pat Griffin is another mother that's here. Pat lost her son rebellion. How do you feel that now? 16 years. Yeah, but I remember like it was yesterday when she came to Mothers in Charge. We were located in the 33rd Drive. And she was trying to find us, and she was riding around. And so I was trying to find the house, but we've been connected as well ever since. And she's been one of the brave soldiers that have gone into the prison to work with the juveniles up on State Road. We started a program here called Thinking for Change, and Pat would go there every Monday and Wednesday with the juveniles. Many of the mothers said, I can't go and do that because I don't know if I'm talking to the person who may have murdered my son. And that phrase that she pointed, they're all our sons. And that was what she said. So I just commend her on the courage to be able to go in and talk with these young men in the hope of being able to change their thinking and the way they behave and all of that in order to save lives. So those are the 2 mothers that were able to come out tonight. There's a whole bunch of us. You've probably seen some visuals. How many have heard of Mothers in Charge before tonight? Oh, not too many of you. We gotta get that for you all. Well, we've been around since 2003. I started the organization in 2003, and we've done everything from school presentations to teaching children conflict resolution, anger management. It's going to start very early now because so many of our young people are very angry and out of control, and they grow up to be those sometimes guys who pick up the gun because of the anger, like the Ernest Odom who murdered my son. Folks aren't born with guns in their hand. Something happens along the way that makes them that angry that they're willing to take someone's life. A lot of times they could victimize themselves. And while I maybe didn't understand that in the beginning, I truly get it now. That's why I think our sons are so important because we've got to save them on both sides. And initially people thought, well, you're supposed to be supporting victims and those who've lost loved ones. And we do that. But we also know that we've got to work this effort in so many different ways to save lives. The president of the Board of Mothers in Charge is a woman by the name of Vanessa Berger. In fact, she was just ordained last Sunday as a pastor in a church in North Philadelphia. And she came to us when her son, Solomon, was murdered. But Vanessa But Bernetta also has a son who at 15 years old, out of anger and pain and a lot of things that was going on in his life, picked up a gun and took someone's life. And he was sentenced to 99 years. He's still serving that time. So oftentimes we have families on both sides and our communities are impacted that way. So we got to figure out how we all come together to work for peace. And that's what Mothers in Charge is really about. I mean, that's the goal of saving lives and working for peace. Now, the last few days have been horrible in this country. The mass shootings, we've got to all work together though. You may not be affected directly by violence, but it's not a black and white thing or about economics or social status. It's about human beings, how we work together to save one another. Because we're all impacted by it, directly or indirectly. Even if you haven't lost someone, you know someone who's been murdered, you're still impacted by it. Because it's a human thing that we've got to be doing to save one another. And so that's what we do, that's what I've done for the last, 16 years. I don't look like what I've been through. It has been a tough journey, believe me. And we mothers who've lost our children touch our pain every single day. We've been doing this work as we comfort other mothers and families, fathers, children who have had the tragedy of having to bury a loved one because of violence. And no one is exempt from it. I always say now, no one is safe until we're all safe. So we all have to be doing something to make a difference. So if you take nothing away from this evening but that, think of how maybe you can get involved in your community, in your mosque, in your church, in your community, in a local school to make a difference. And there's something that each and every one of us can do to make a difference. We must. We must. So, a few years ago, as I said, I was really involved in the prison because being on the prison board, I saw so many miscarriages of justice. People that were sitting there, who oftentimes were innocent, people were sitting there mainly because they didn't have money to bail out. Or mothers would come to me and say, I'm losing my parental rights to my son or my daughter because I've been here 15 months and I haven't been able to have contact with my child. So automatically the law that says I can lose parental rights and my child was up for adoption. So there were so many things that were happening that really got my attention, like, this is not fair. This is not justice. So when my dear friend, Keir, started talking to me about participatory defense, I thought, wow, what a powerful tool, what a powerful initiative to make a difference within the criminal justice system and to affect and change lives of people who are caught up in that system. There's a video of participatory defense. If you want to speak first, show the video first. Then give you a little background on what it's about. And this lady here has just been amazing in terms of what she's doing at the Philadelphia Defender's Office, Chief Defender of the Public Defender's Office. Amazing work. So this is a movement. We sometimes call it revolutionary. It's something that's gone on around the country now. It's in about 22, 25 cities, or maybe more. 22 cities across this country, participatory defense is happening. Yes, it's changing the way things are done.
Participatory defense is when community members get together in a community space. And the person facing charges comes into that meeting And the facilitators ask a series of questions to be able to guide the person through the process. They ask, when's your next court date? What are your charges? What stage are you in the process? Have you spoken to your attorney? Have you seen your discovery? And so what they begin to do is make the criminal justice system more transparent, more clear for the person who is facing charges. When you're facing charges, there's a lot of unknowns that you're facing. One of them should not be the process itself.
It's just allaying some of their fears, enabling them to take a deep breath, and discover in the process that this community of volunteers is going to rally around them and become a support system.
Watch some people come in fearful. I watch some people come in angry. I watch some people come in at the point where they've given up. And there's always somebody at the table that can relate to their story that can help lift them up.
It's so important that people understand the process by which they get to go into. Because if you don't understand the process, you don't make the best decisions. And while me as a defense attorney can talk to you each time we have a hearing, understanding the full picture really makes it more practical that people are actually going to do things that make a difference.
I noticed a lot of people who are struggling with court appearances, violating probation, things of that nature, and not knowing what to do or how to approach their bail hearing or arraignment, or what they could expect in a preliminary hearing, or what they should be discussing with their attorney. But more so just not having a sense of which way to go. That's what, to me, made it important to have a hub in West Philadelphia. Participatory defense can help support the youth of Philadelphia by recreating community. I think that when it comes to the criminal justice system, a lot of people are afraid of it. And in that desperate moment, people end up making bad decisions, especially young people. You know, they're really vulnerable in the criminal justice system. So I think that the more support they can get from the community, the better.
Well, because of the hub, and because of the hub's directions, because when you go to the hub, you meet people. It's people that come to the hub that can help you in your particular situation, and in ours, rather than my son's. It seemed like during the process, so many people were there when we showed up. They got to hear my plight, got to hear what they had, got to hear and reach out to other people to help. So it resulted in my son charges being dismissed. And it resulted in him not having a record at Plymouth Center.
When they do have an interaction with participatory defense, they better understand what their involvement is in the criminal justice system. If you've never been involved in the system, it's like a maze. It can be scary, it can be frightening, it can make you forget everything that you ever knew about anything because you're so nervous. So I think the participatory defense helps to prepare people to enter into something that's so foreign and so strange to them.
When I was locked up in charge of the adult, I didn't really have support. My family was poor. They couldn't come see me. I was literally in jail for 18 months, almost alone. And so I know through participatory defense, I could have had a community around. I could have had people that could have seen me by the 6 months, like, oh, he's been there for too long.
One of the special things that we do is to help individuals put together what we call a social bio. And that is information about who they are, not just what's on the criminal record sheet, but who they are as a person. And I think that affords the opportunity for judges, and even some cases DAs, to know this person better, and to even know them at all. And maybe know that they're not just what appears on that sheet.
One of the things that has really surprised me is the effect in the courtroom of people coming in support of the defendant.
One of our clients had 25 individuals who came to court. A portion of those 25 were family, and a portion of the 25 were hub members. There's a moment where the individual looks back, and I'll never forget it. They look back, they see 25 people behind them, and I literally watched the individual take a deep breath. And after that deep breath, they were able to relax and participate in their life.
With a force behind us demanding better justice, demanding more time, demanding more consideration, not just us alone demanding it, but a team of people demanding it, the outcomes that we're getting now, I wouldn't have thought were possible. And I am so proud of the work that's being done.
It's revolutionary. That's what I think participatory defense is in the future.
Through participatory defense, we hope to help people in their most vulnerable situation and then help them change around their lives so they can be powerful leaders for tomorrow.
Can I ask a quick question? How many of you, well, first of all, my name is Keir, Bradford-Grey, and I am the Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia and Defender Association of Philadelphia, I'm sorry. And I do see a staff member here, Elizabeth Schultz. Thank you for coming and joining us. I think someone recognizes you as one of our interns, so thank you guys for joining us. Can I ask, has anyone heard of participatory defense before? No. Well, that's a good thing because I'm in the right place. Usually I'm in the place talking to like-minded individuals who know what we're talking about, so it's really good to spread the word. So participatory defense, it is a very simple but very complex initiative, right? People don't really understand what it is designed to do. But I can tell you this, the reason why I found it so intriguing and something that I wanted to help to create here in Pennsylvania, because I started in Montgomery County in 2013, is because I know and I see every day as a public defender the injustices that happen inside the courtroom. Many people believe in this justice system that it is a process, that's all we have, and it's one that's ultimately going to give us a just result. But unfortunately, it cannot do that the way things are currently. When I say that, is that our system is so overburdened, is so taxed, we're trying to deal with a lot of social issues. We have not allowed ourselves to have an opportunity to force the individualized humanity back into our system. When you become a process or an assembly line, things begin to look like a round hole and a peg that fits in it. Not an individual that may have curves and points and other things that go along with them. And what I've seen in my 20 years of working in the system is we've moved away from understanding why people come into the system, who the people are, and what opportunities they have to really get better or overcome their challenges, and kind of gone to the hammer approach, which now after decades we see that hasn't given us great dividends on our notion of public safety. So participatory defense is designed to not just service people, but to empower people to understand this very complex system and what their opportunities are to have a voice in the process. Prior to this becoming an initiative, and I will applaud and laud Ms. Dorothy to the mountaintops. I mean, We were like unlikely allies if you look at it from the outside looking in, but when you know her introspective view and vantage point on why these things, the census acts, the random acts of violence happen, she sees how the justice system can perpetuate the feeling of self-worthlessness or the feeling of, no one cares about me, to the point where you don't start to care about others in your community. She's seen that, and she understands it. And so I'm so happy that she has joined us in this effort. But prior to this, there was a lot of people that wanted to do something about reform. They felt like it was today's civil rights moment. Something is going on with this justice system that is keeping people deeply entrenched in poverty. Something is going on with this justice system that is creating generational disproportionality in terms of wealth opportunities. And so while people marched around policing because it was visible to their eyes, stop at the front door of the criminal justice system center, doors, wherever whatever building that it's in, and then pick back up at reentry because that's visible. All the things that happened in between that either exacerbated the officers' behaviors or pretty much was complicit in the lack of reentry opportunities were untouched. And that is where most public defenders do their work, alone, with the client, accused, not really having real access to who this person is or what this person's opportunity is to explain who they are. And many people, when they're involved in a situation, they can't necessarily articulate the things that one would want whenever they're trying to present or be the best advocate for them. So it wasn't until this moment or this initiative that we started bringing community voices into the process. And I'll tell you what a game changer that has been. I always knew, and anybody who's anyone should know, community understands their community better than outsiders who come in and try to lay what they believe is best. And the only way you're going to get the best results for everybody, not just the person accused, but also the people that have to live in that community when someone is taken out or when someone is terrorizing it, is with the voice of the community and the participation and the knowledge and understanding. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dorothy in a moment to just talk about what this process has been and really kind of explain how does that even happen? How is it even possible that you, as non-lawyers, right, and everyone thinks this space in the criminal justice system is only for trained professionals who have degrees and who have been elected to be judges. That's not true. If we want to get it right, we need to invite all voices, all vantage points into the solutions instead of putting upon people what we think is right based on, some omniscient kind of false perception that we know everything because we went to law school and got this degree and have this title. It's been leading us to very bad results and very bad decision making. And so this is one of the answers if we want sustainable reform that is balanced and is not one-sided, so the pendulum doesn't swing back whenever we have one tragedy out of 1 million victims. So I want to make sure that I get Dorothy's voice in talking about that process.
Thank you. So, how many of you have ever made a bad decision in your life? Exactly. But you don't have to live with that. That doesn't have to define who you are. I met a young lady, I guess maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, at Riverside Correctional Facility up on State Road. And where we were doing a program called Thinking for Change for Women. It was a 12-week program. We were there twice a week, teaching this curriculum. Because we believe thinking for change says if you change the way a person thinks, you change their behavior. Y'all agree with that? Yeah. It's not really about what you're thinking inside your head. And if you can get that right, behavior changes. So we were teaching this program called Thinking for Change, and I met this young lady, I'm going to call up, to talk to you a little bit about what happens at participatory defense at the Mothers in Charge Club every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Because I met her, and I knew something was special about her from the moment I met her. She did the 12 weeks with us, 25 lessons of thinking for change, and came back and became a mentor for the next group of women that we were teaching for their body about 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. Every Monday and Tuesday, Monday and Wednesday, we would go up and teach this group of women. Valerie, come on up because this is like transformation. You know, those are great events. You can change your life. You know, you don't have to be always defined by that decision that you made. And I believe in that so strongly, which is why I believe in participatory defense. Because we are not always our mistake, and we need not be defined that way. And with the proper support and opportunities, you know, we can be and reach our full potential. Valerie?
Hi, everybody. It's a great day to be alive. I did meet Miss Dorothy incarcerated, and I was in a place of really hopelessness. And coming from, I was born addicted to heroin. Actually, my grandma who raised me is from Fairfield. And she, my mother was on heroin. I never met my biological father. And I just experienced a lot of childhood abuse. Watching, being molested by my stepdad, seeing my stepdad shoot my sister. And then at the age of 10 years old, my stepdad hung himself right on the street. And by the time I turned, in my teen years, I turned to, drugs, crime, promiscuity, everything you can imagine, because I didn't even have an identity. I didn't know how to feel. I just was lost. I was aimless, to end up in juvenile centers and then eventually incarcerated as a woman. And that's when I did meet Miss Dorothy. And she kept saying, if you change the woman's thinking, you will change the woman. If you heal a woman, you will heal a nation. And she just was teaching me cognitive self-change, problem solving, social skills, and like she said, it's been 10 years actually, and I've been actually with her going on 8 years, employed by her, and her being my support, saying, Bella, when you get out of incarceration, you're going to need support. You're going to, if you're the smartest person in your circle, get a new circle, So I, came down and was, and Miss Dorothy embraced me, and I never committed a crime again, never did a drug again, and I was introduced to a whole new lifestyle. I didn't have support in the courtroom. I didn't have a social bio. I didn't have anybody saying, my mom actually said she's a monster. You lock her up or lock me up at 12 years old. So I wasn't dealing with any of my core issues or anything like that. So participatory defense is like, for me, I'm so passionate about it because I know what it's like to be aimless, to be lost, to not know better. So if you don't know better, how are you going to do better? To come from a fatherless home and not have any kind of ties that were positive or productive or influential in a positive way. I didn't have any of that. So, and I do now. I've got this roof, here. So, and it has kept me, it reduced recidivism definitely because I never got incarcerated again. I never, did a drug again. So, doing a participatory defense for the last 18 months, I've been able to, close to 18 months, something like that, here, yeah. We started it actually March 9th. It was March 20th of 2018. We started it. It was a blizzard that day. It wasn't, just the same way Miss Dorothy says, she doesn't want to die with unfinished business. Like blizzard, we're still, having a meeting so that people will get a better outcome in court. And not to get away with anything anybody did. That's never the goal. The goal is you getting a just trial. Let's see, who you are. What have you been through, and if you even did this crime. Some people have been, arrested that did not do the crime. So that's what we do in participatory defense. We help people be presented as a whole person rather than this isolated incident. And we support them in the courtroom because pain shared is pain lessened. Like Pastor Clay was saying up on that video, to look back and know that you have support in that courtroom and you are not alone really makes a big difference. So that's what we've been doing.
Several Valeries and folks like Valerie that are part of our team at Others in Charge. Our hub is called the best outcomes, and that's what we're seeking and we're working toward for individuals. Here.
So let me share with you some of the positive results and why this is such a, it's just I keep saying game changer. I know for me, it's game changer in the system. But it's just, there are natural gaps in our justice system that cannot be filled by the current actors. And the only people that can fill those are the people that are coming into the fold with a different set of eyes and a different understanding about what these incidents mean to their community. And so they're bringing a balance that we have never had. Because not only are they understanding the system more intricately, because we train them on our system, but they are bringing information that we as public defenders or even some fancy defense lawyers could never have access to. And that's because we only have our client we're relying on to feed that information, or a police report that we're trying to pick apart and get information from. Now, like she said, this is not to fool the system or find that loophole. This is really to better understand so that all the actors can make the best decisions. Because sometimes the justice system exacerbates what I call desperation in people. Sometimes people come with very little support, and because of our policies that haven't been re-examined, that haven't been looked at in terms of is this productive or is this unproductive, just perpetuates that desperation, and it releases people back into your communities without anything that they even came in with. So for instance, if someone is on, Medicaid, and they have state assistance insurance, and they stay in jail over 30 days, well, that is turned off. That state assisted insurance is turned off. So if I had anxiety, depression, whatever it is that was keeping me stabilized, now because of the policy of cash bail or whatever it is, where I sat in jail just because I couldn't afford $500, finally I get to scrape up $500 and I pay my bill, I'm back into your community without that medication, without that therapy, without that stability. That does not make us safe. That is unproductive justice policies. And our goal of the Defender Association is to help actors in the community recognize how to move from the unproductive to the productive. There's definitely a productive use or purpose that the criminal justice system can play. But right now, we are so amassed in so many unproductive practices that all we're doing is really perpetuating the endless cycle of being in the system. So when we started participatory defense, I said 18 months ago, we didn't know all the collateral benefits that would come about. Right? We knew that we were going to have more allies in this search for the truth, because that's what the justice system should be doing. And more people that helped us connect resources with the problem, right? Because they bring in understanding of what's in their community and what we can bring to it just as an alternative. Let's try this. And most times they work. But what we found in terms of our stats, one of the things that the justice system always wants to do is think in terms of cash bail. Make sure that people show up to court. Well, in 181 cases for the participatory defense hubs, they had a 100% appearance rate. 100%. If that's not accountability, the justice system cannot do that. I don't care how much of a hammer we have, there are some people that are just not going to be accountable or responsible enough to do this on their own. But when they have a village of people showing up to court, guess what? They show up too. They know 30 people, 25 people are coming in that courtroom, they're not going to dare not show up. That's accountability like no other. One of the other things we've seen is that out of, I think we pulled about, we did a bailout in November with the Eagles players. And we bailed out 10 people. Now, of those 10 people, there have 8 people have continued to maintain employment because they were connected with the hub or working on their cases. 4 out of the 5 charges were dismissed. They are doing well. They have not recidivized. There have been 2 that have recidivized, and that was by drug use. So there is a public health issues around drug use. None of them have committed a new crime of violence. The only crime, if we're still considering it criminal, are the use of drugs in their community. That was it. Out of the 10 people, now it doesn't seem like a large pool, but we never have 10 people will get out and not make some mistake or do something else that exacerbates their situation. The power of community and accountability has been there. Lastly, I would say what we've been noticing, and this has been an amazing attribute to what Valerie just spoke to. We talk about reentry, that people come out and they become well adjusted because one of the tenets of that, getting a job, getting housing, and making sure that you're staying progressive, right? But what about one thing that's missing? Purpose. Do people have a purpose? Because that's what makes people, I guess, stay in a productive pattern. Well, what we see that people have done, those who have come through the hub for assistance, they have actually, once their case is over, they have actually joined the Participatory Defense Hub to help others. If that's not a spirit of purpose that really fuels and ignites reentry, then I don't know what is. And nothing else in the justice system can really do that other than the power of humanity. And I have a newfound appreciation for humanity, looking at these videos, looking at people who volunteer their time because they care so much about not only the people that are coming through, but about the communities that are left behind when they are taken out of these households, the children and mothers that struggle when fathers are taken out of their households unnecessarily. There's always a balance. There's always things that people do that may warrant that attention of the justice system and jail stay. But there are a lot of things that we see in the system that do not. And so they are here to not only to help us, to push us as the community lawyers, right? I do really hold that dear, that we are community lawyers. They push us to be better, but they push the system to do what's right. And we're seeing the benefits, we're reaping the benefits on the back end. Taxpayer dollars are being used more wisely, and they need to be going to help fund the Participatory Defense Hubs, or at least giving people a stipend for coming and doing so much of the great work. Just responsibility and accountability is there that a probation officer, a court, a judge, nor a public defender can do. So I applaud you ladies, and I thank you so much for what you're doing. I hope the word spreads. I hope people just want to come and check it out, go see it. See it in action. That gives you the best understanding of what this does and what the nature of it is. But please, once you see it, it becomes infectious. And you know, this is the wave of the future for criminal justice reform. No matter who's in the leadership position, this is here to stay because the community owns it, and they're now empowering others to do what they do. So, Ms. Dorothy, I know I say this all the time. You are my hero. I love you so much. I just do. And the way you work with these amazing women and bring them to my fold and we work together, I just can't thank you enough. As a young lawyer, I would have died for this type of collaboration with community. And now that we have it, I do hope the lawyers at the Public Defender's Office and private lawyers appreciate it because they are benefiting from it as well. Even though they're getting paid $50,000 to track the case, they are benefiting from this additional resources that they could never ever have by themselves. So I wanted to be
sure. Sure, as well. That's just an amazing thing here in my office. We have a hub every Tuesday. If you're interested, to find out more about it, stop in and see how it works. We need volunteers every Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Mothers in Charge office at 520 North Delaware Avenue, right down in Delaware Spring Garden. That's where we're located in the office building here. Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. We also have other opportunities if you're looking to volunteer, if you have some extra time. Working with Mothers in Charge, we have anger management, we need letter writing to legislators around gun legislation, things like that. So there's something, as I said earlier, that everyone can do, and we do need volunteers to continue to do the work that we're doing. So, we'll see you one day, one evening, at the Mothers in Charge office checking us out. Thank you so very much.
So we have time for a few questions, and if we can't get everyone's question, there is a reception immediately after. So folks can hang around and ask questions then too. So questions?
Yeah. Two parts to this. One is, are you working with people who are currently incarcerated? Are you working with people who are out on probation? I teach a course at the Justice Prison. So I know
some of the issues that we're going well and for 6 years. So my question is, how are you connected with you? What about someone who possibly should get out, whose case is in another city where it shouldn't be, it should be transferred? And how do you transfer a case? Where would I turn to find that out? And then what is the premise of who you connect with to assist? I think that's it for now. There might be more.
The connection is very organic, so they do their own advertising. And so people like family members, person incarcerated, family members of the person incarcerated, if they know about it, they will go and figure out, how can I help my loved one? What can I do to help them understand some of the things that are not really getting through to the attorney, or that they feel like they just need to know better so that they can work with the attorney in a different, more strategic way. So I would say it's just a kind of an organic composition. Sometimes our lawyers refer family members to the hubs because family members will call and say, this is not happening, what's happening, I'm not sure what's going on, I didn't know what was going on. We'll refer them to the hubs so they can get a better understanding of the system, because unfortunately we don't have time to teach and train everyone. Liz has information about where the hubs are. Oh yeah, so we do that often. She says, can you go into the prison and tell them about what you're doing? Right. Well, I mean, and that's awesome. She said, maybe not enough for me. We need to bump it up a little bit more to do a little bit more of that. But let me just say this in terms of your change of venue. If you believe that or if someone or their legal representative believes that this case is not in the correct city, meaning that the action didn't occur in the venue that it's currently being tried, then the lawyer can file for what's called a change of venue. If they're not willing to do that, then petitioner defense can help you figure out why. Ask the right questions as to why that is not happening. I can't imagine a defense attorney that would be okay with a case being in a different venue other than the one that it should probably be in, but for good reason. So I don't know what that reason is, so it's hard to really opine that, but I can say if they've already weighed in, there may be something with that venue that either that's the only place that they think they can get a fair trial because of the publicity that may be associated around the crime. Not really sure, but I know one thing, because the hubs are here, we're really educating people much more in the process of what their opportunities are. So that's
Are any local or national foundations supporting the press?
Thank you for asking that amazing question. So we just went after a grant from the Philadelphia Foundation to support this participatory event, and it was a very exciting process. And we relied on crowd voting, so we came in second place, which is $100,000 over 2 years. It is something, but definitely not enough. So if you have any thoughts or suggestions of other grants we can go after for these hubs, so Dorothy has a hub, there's a hub in West Philly, South Philly, and in Center City. Yeah, King Sessions, Kensington. And there's one opening up in Germantown. So they really, while people volunteer their time, there are some people that are coming out of prisons and they're volunteering their time, but they really could use stipends. And we'd love to give them food cards or whatever that is, so that, thank you for your service to others. So any suggestions, thoughts, we're open. We're willing to do everything we can to support these hubs because we know how important it is.
We'll take one more question and we'll come to
I wanted to say something that really wasn't mentioned, that we do with participatory defense is navigate people through the process. Because if you're, you never had any bouts with the judicial system or anything, and your child or family member was to get incarcerated incarcerated and you don't know where they are, all you heard is that they were locked up and it's been 28 hours, you know, it's good to get in touch with us because we're people who can say this is not unnatural. You know, because you could, you know, the handcuffs on the wheel, they're like 28 hours, they can lock up a woman in there, you know, and we were able to say, okay, you know, this is something that naturally happens. 28 hours really teach people how to know their rights. They shouldn't be in there 28 hours, and sometimes they are. And Coming to the Hub does educate you to navigate the process to say, well, how come somebody didn't say this? And I'm able to tell you in this part of the process, they usually don't say that. Or I only got a court date today, and we're able to tell you why that
The
happened.
public defender's office does a great job in training called knowing your systems, and they do that on a regular basis. So a lot of our volunteers have great information from their own personal experience as well as, you know, from the educational components that help them to be able to help folks. So again, if you're interested, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Mothers in Charge. Also add to that Mothers in Charge has grief support. So anyone who's struggling with the death of a loved one, for violence for any reason, we have free grief support every Thursday starting at 5:30. Every Thursday, we have anger management on Tuesday. Anybody angry? I might want to check out our anger management. Valerie does that on Thursday mornings, and it's amazing anger management. She gives you the tools to be able to handle yourself a little bit better. We get a lot of referrals from the judges and from adult parole and probation folks come and we do the 9-week session, get a certificate at the end, and more important, go away with skills that help them to not pick up a gun. And that's what we do, because it's real prevention piece to help people understand that violence is not the answer to a misunderstanding. Thank you again, everyone, for being here.